Super Carlin Brothers is sponsored by BetterHelp. 26% of Americans recently surveyed have avoided seeking mental health support due to fear of being judged. Let's break the stigma surrounding seeking support. We're all better with help. Visit betterhelp.com/super today for 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/super. Are Krum and Snape brothers? Speaking of, hey brother! Okay, so you clicked on the video. Job well done. We've overcome a hurdle of hesitancy that I can totally understand. Are Snape and Viktor Krum brothers? It sounds absolutely bananas, right? Actually, I bet some of you, like the gears are clicking into place already, and to those of you, job well done. This one is admittedly wacky and wild, but somehow there is way more evidence than I ever expected to find. So without any further ado, let's just dive on in. Okay, hear me out, because I know it sounds a little bit like the setup to a weird fanfic where Krum and Snape bond over bad posture and a shared appreciation for brooding, but seriously, there's just enough there to make you raise a thick, greasy eyebrow. And now I'd just like to take a moment to formally apologize for saying the words, thick, greasy eyebrow. But I'm sure you see what I mean. Like, we get a description of Snape's general appearance the moment we meet him. Professor Quirrell in his absurd turban was talking to a teacher with greasy black hair, a hooked nose, and sallow skin. Meanwhile, here's our first description of Viktor Krum. Viktor Krum was thin, dark, and sallow-skinned, with a large curved nose and thick black eyebrows. He looked like an overgrown bird of prey. It was hard to believe he was only 18. I bring up this detail first because there is simply no denying the fact that the descriptions of their physical appearances are shockingly similar. From there, we do of course have to ask the obvious timeline question, like, could it even work? I personally don't see why not. Like, we know that Snape is born in 1960, and we know that Krum is born in 1976 because he's 18 in Goblet of Fire and 4 years older than Harry in his 4th year, and Harry is born in 1980. So, if so, math so, he's born in 1976. This means that Snape and Krum are 16 years apart, but I think we can actually narrow the window to have it make even more sense. We know that Snape is of course a half-blood. His father is a muggle named Tobias Snape, and his mother is a witch named Eileen Prince. And Snape's home life is bad. A hook-nosed man was shouting at a cowering woman while a small dark-haired boy cried in a corner. A greasy-haired teenager sat alone in a dark bedroom, pointing his wand at the ceiling and shooting down flies. I don't want to give Snape too many excuses, but something tells me that his allegiance towards magic and against muggles spawned from his relationships with both of his parents. But also, that sentiment is even more curious because later in the story, we learn that Snape also resembles his mother. Snape stood beside him, slightly hunched, next to a thin, sallow-faced, sour-looking woman who greatly resembled him. Sallow-faced and thin. We've heard these words before to describe Snape, but Snape's memory during occlumency lessons reveals to us that he got his hooked nose from his father, and keep that detail in mind. The real point that I need to make here, though, is that this scene that I just described is taking place just before Snape and Lily take off for their first year at Hogwarts, meaning Snape's father is still at home for now at age 11, or 1971, placing us just 5 years away from when Krum would ultimately be born. And if we take some liberties, I think we can safely assume that Eileen and Tobias' relationship isn't moving in the direction of getting better. This is the exchange before Lily and Snape, right before they leave. "How are things at your house?" Lily asked. A little crease appeared between his eyes. "Fine," he said. "They're not arguing anymore?" "Oh yes, they're arguing," said Snape. He picked up a fistful of leaves and began tearing them apart, apparently unaware of what he was doing. "But it won't be that long, and I'll be gone." "Doesn't your dad like magic?" "He doesn't like anything much," said Snape. If the issue is magic, his son going to magic school is probably not going to make things better. Y'all, we gotta just take a brief pause right there to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Shopify. Running a business can be interesting. You've ventured out into new waters, full of dreams, coffee, ambitions, and probably more coffee. You've worked your butt off single-handedly to get things off the ground, made your first sale, maybe met your first official regular.
How much for me? 5 galleons. I'm your brother. 10 galleons.
Then word gets out. You're amazing. More demand, hiring staff, training, marketing, merchandising, bagging, shipping. Where's the coffee? Whew. We've all been there, right? Well, if not yet, then don't worry, because I personally have undying faith in you. But when things get heavy, that's when you want Shopify. It is the ultimate business companion that looks amazing in hats. Because it can wear so many of them. Come on, that was good, right? Anyway, Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the United States, from household names like Mattel and Carlin Brothers Mercantile to brands that are just getting their start. And Shopify is packed with helpful AI tools that write product descriptions, page headlines, and even enhance your product photography. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/SCB. Again, go to shopify.com/SCB. One last time for safety, shopify.com/SCB. Now back to the video. So, Tobias Snape leaves Eileen and Severus, and around the same time, Snape starts going by the Half-Blood Prince, a way to pay homage to his wizarding side and distance himself from the Snape name. All we can assume from here is that Tobias moves away, looking for a fresh start. So, for the sake of the argument, we have to assume Bulgaria, since that's obviously the national team that Krum plays for. But Krum is unusual, isn't he? He is this international Quidditch star, but on the ground he's kind of awkward, constantly slouching, being round-shouldered, and surly. Krum, hunched up and brooding, was leaning against the mantelpiece slightly apart from the other two. Viktor Krum was standing moodily in a corner as usual and not talking to anybody. Krum just sat in the library, poring over books. For someone with so much star power, Krum isn't trying to garner attention at all. If anything, it seems like he's trying to make himself small or unnoticed. And this reminds me so much of Snape, and not only during his time at school where he falls prey to the social hierarchy, but also in the way that he's been watching a young Lily from afar while discovering her magical aptitude. He's always watching quietly from the distance, and even accused of spying by the young Evans girls upon announcing himself. Is this not kind of similar to Krum's own approach to Hermione? If you really want to know, he said he'd been coming up to the library every day to try and talk to me, but hadn't been able to pluck up the courage. Also, how similar are the witches that they're attracted to? Hermione and Lily are both muggle-born star students from Gryffindor House. But then there's the one weird issue that I'm sure is just living in the back of your brain as I'm talking. Their names. Krum and Snape are obviously different. If they have the same dad, what gives? Well, and to be fair, this could just be a reach, but think about this. Snape rejects his Snape heritage. He chooses his own name and goes by the Half-Blood Prince, his mother's maiden name.
I'm the Half-Blood Prince.
On some level, I think this is his pride in his wizarding heritage, but on the other, I think it's actively distancing himself from his father, who we know was just abusive and mean. So if Tobias had a deep mistrust or prejudice against magical people, has this whole relationship and son with Eileen Prince, only to abandon them and head east, where he finds Miss Krum only to repeat the whole pattern, then I dare say things could go south. Fast. Like a Bulgarian seeker in a Hronsky feint, if I may. Meaning that, unlike Snape, who bore his father's name for over a decade before abandonment, Viktor and his mother may have opted to use her name way sooner. But while Viktor can change his name, he can't change his nose. Yeah, it's easy to miss because we only get one mention of Krum's parents, but it's right before the third task. Listen to this. Cedric and his parents were just inside the door. Viktor Krum was over in a corner conversing with his dark-haired mother and father in rapid Bulgarian. He had inherited his father's hooked nose. Dark hair and hooked nose, what do you know? But I think it could be the same hooked nose that Snape has emblazoned upon his own sallow face.
Obviously.
But you might be wondering, if Krum rejects his father's participation in his life and opted to use his mother's name, what's his father doing there? Well, it says that Krum is speaking in rapid Bulgarian. This might mean that Krum's quiet nature has something to do with the language barrier. He's more confident in his native tongue. But I don't think so. Krum is standoffish even when people aren't being conversational. So why the chatterbox? Because he doesn't want him there. This whole scene is set up in kind of a sad way from Harry's perspective. He learned in the Great Hall that families of the champions are there to cheer them on for the third task. Harry is lamenting the fact that he won't have anyone who's come to see him, because surely the Dursleys wouldn't have.
Bring my coffee, boy.
And watching everyone else head back to the chamber beyond the Great Hall. Harry finished his breakfast in the empty and great hall. He saw Fleur Delacour get up from the Ravenclaw table and join Cedric as he crossed to the side chamber and entered. Krum slouched off to join them shortly afterward. Harry stayed where he was. He really didn't want to go into the chamber. Now, I will be the first to say that I'm seeing what I want to see with this context in mind, but to me, that reads a little bit like you've got two champions who are excited to see their families behind that door. One who doesn't think anyone is back there, and one who doesn't want to see who's back there. And he slouches off. Theoretically, he hasn't seen his family since the summer. Like, wouldn't he be excited to see them? Why is Krum holding back here? Because he doesn't want to see his dad. I suspect that this is what the rapid Bulgarian conversation would reveal to us if we were able to overhear any of it. But an even bigger question is, if it's Tobias and he hates magic so much, why is he there at all? The answer? Notoriety. Viktor becomes famous, beloved even for his skills on the Quidditch pitch. This, I can only imagine, sparks the return of Tobias, who has forever lived this downtrodden life, but now wants to get in on the limelight of his all-too-famous son. Also, when you think back about it, isn't it strange that Snape is always supposedly so jealous of James's Quidditch skills? He just wants to make his dad proud. Not sure why, though, because it sounds like his dad's a real piece of... But here's the clincher. None of them would have any way of knowing any of this. Tobias would have left Severus and Eileen long before he discovered what Snape would go on to do in his life. And if he was seeking to leave his prior life behind him, he may have never disclosed his first family to the start of his second. Meaning, Krum would have no idea that Snape could be related to him. And even Tobias arriving to watch the third task would have no clue that he would be attending his other son's place of work. At best, Snape could have recognized Tobias, but I also wouldn't put it past him to just ignore him completely even if he saw him. So in the end, you have two half-brothers, born 16 years apart, both of whom have black hair, hook noses, and are social outsiders. They both excel in defensive magic and their own areas of speciality, potions and Quidditch respectively. They both fall in love with brilliant muggle-born girls, and of course, find ways to buck their father's heritage. Here's just a little honorable mention for you. Krum is often described as resembling a bird of prey, and Snape is often described as being bat-like. So, you know, birds of a feather. By the way, I know that bats are not birds, okay? Okay. But maybe consider this. Krum regarded as the best flyer in the world. Snape, the only other person other than Voldemort who can fly unsupported. Huh? Yeah? But there you go, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you want to know what else isn't birds but could be Krum, sharks. A real sentence that I'm actually being genuine about. If you want to check out that entire video explaining it right over here, you can do so right over here. Otherwise, until next time, bye! Don't forget to eat cheese.